Turn with me to Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter and the 31st verse. Deuteronomy, that's in the Old Testament, over toward the beginning of the Old Testament, in what is called the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. And there's a verse tucked away in Moses' farewell address to ancient Israel that says this in the 31st verse. It says this, "For their rock is not our rock." For their rock is not our rock. In the latter part of the last century, a man toured America and Great Britain, and many times he used that text. I'd never noticed that text until I read one of his sermons a few weeks ago. D.L. Moody, "Their rock is not our rock." Moses is now an old man. He has led the children of Israel for 40 years in the desert. He's been a king, a father, a president, a leader, all these years. And now only Joshua and Caleb are left. All the other generation are dead. And all the people standing out before him are young people. Young people just like you, with the same desires, the same aspirations, the same longings, the same dreams, the same problems, the same sins, the same temptations that you have. And Moses, looking upon this vast audience, an entirely new generation, with his long white beard, preaching to them, warning them of other gods and false gods that are going to come up to take the place of the true and the living God. And he said, if you follow these false gods, the judgment of God will come upon you. And he referred to God as a rock. And he referred to these other gods as rocks, spelled with a little r. The rock God was spelled with a capital R. Now, why did he use the term rocks as an illustration? The children of Israel had been wandering around among the rocks for 40 years. They knew what a rock was. They knew the hard rocks and the soft rocks and all kinds of rocks. And he said, their rock is not our rock. What are some of the rocks in America right now that young people are in danger? You know, I talked to a man just a few weeks ago who claimed to be an atheist. I don't know whether he was really an atheist, but he said he was an atheist. He said, I've been an atheist all my life. He said, my father was an atheist. He said, I am now 71 years of age. And I said, what do you have to look forward to? He said, nothing. He said, life has been miserable for me. Well, I said, why don't you give up your atheism? Why don't you believe in God? He said, my pride won't let me. Their rock is not our rock. Compared with Paul, the Apostle Paul said, I've fought a good fight. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me in that day. What a contrast between an atheist and a believer. One man was facing death fearful, empty. The other man was facing death full of confidence. Their rock is not our rock. Secondly, young people, many young people are going after materialism. They've fallen for the materialistic God that says things are more important than anything else. I find across the country today a deep economic discontent among people. I find it in Europe. I find it around the world. And people are wanting more and more things. And we forget that we have the highest standard of living the world has ever known. We still have poverty. The government is trying to do something about it. The church is trying to do something. Hundreds of social agencies are trying to do something about it. But the people that we call living in poverty would be considered rich if they lived in Bangladesh or in many other parts of the world. We're a rich nation. But still, with all of our riches, we're dissatisfied. We want more, 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 more. The more we get, the more we want. Jesus said you cannot serve God and mammon. He said a man's life consisted not in the abundance of the things that he possesseth. A famous man was quoted in the paper the other day as saying, I'm worth millions of dollars, but I can tell you this, that's not where it's at. I'm worth millions, but that's not where it's at. Adolf Berle, in his study of power, points out riches make people solitary, lonely, and often afraid. Many times a rich man has a loneliness and a fear. Because you see, if you make riches your God, if you make things your God, if you make money your God, it leaves you empty. George Bernard Shaw said, there are two tragedies in life. One is not to get your heart's desire, and the other is to get it. You think if you had a lot of money, you'd be happy. Some of you have already got a lot, and you're not happy. Two tragedies. You didn't get it, and you did get it. You see, without God, life loses its zest and its purpose and its meaning, even though you may have money. Young people in America today are revolting against affluency. And yet today, many young people are prisoners of a culture which puts a premium on things rather than moral values. Their rock is not our rock. Don't make money your God. There's nothing wrong with having money if you got it legitimately and honestly. It's what you do with it. It's your attitude toward it. Do you love it? Has it become your God? Does it dominate you? Does it have such a hold on you that you don't have time for God? Their rock is not our rock. That's not the rock we want. And then thirdly, their aims and objectives are not our rock. What are the objectives of the average person in America today? Power, pleasure, leisure, money. What is the objective of a Christian? To glorify God, to live for God, to do the will of God, to love your neighbor, to help your neighbor, to make an impact in society for God, and to leave the world a little better place because you were here. What is your objective? Is your objective to get all the leisure time you can, to have all the pleasure you can have, to make all the money you can make? What is your objective? What's your goal in life? Where are you headed? Their rock is not our rock.